dead serious. I bought properties and got in a lot of trouble once in a while, assuming that I knew what the deal was, when it wasn't. Am I turning this off deliberately, do you think? No, apparently not. We talk about freestanding properties in retail. Freestanding properties, you'll hear a lot about freestanding properties, or that's a freestanding property in two instances. When they're talking about a retail building, that's a freestanding property, meaning there's no other stores attached to it. Could be as small as that little Kentucky Fried Chicken store, or is that an Arby's? Or it could be as big as a Walmart, or even bigger, right? What's the biggest freestanding store that's in your part of the world? Walmart, Supercenter, those are some big ones. Excuse me? Targets are big. I did a Target one time. I couldn't believe how I did 100,000 or 120,000. This is like 10, 15 years ago. 110,000 foot Target, and he was worried about using up the Target the parking field because we were making a PetSmart next door. So a freestanding property is just a property that is a single tenant property. When somebody says freestanding, whether they're talking about industrial or talking about retail, that's what they mean. They're freestanding Walmarts, they're freestanding restaurants, they're freestanding all kinds of things in retail. Part of getting what you want, negotiating commercial real estate is being believed that you are real. If the other guy doesn't believe you're a real buyer or a real seller, sometimes you don't get to first base. And although many of you will already know this lingo, we'll go over it quickly so that you're not caught behind the 8 ball. The retail buzzwords, we'll do this for all property types. Tenant mix and tenant placement. What do you suppose tenant mix means? Say it again? I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. She says what part is tenant retail and what part is residential. That's true. There are multi-use buildings, but if I'm just talking about retail, the word tenant mix is a very often used word that's pretty important in retail. The tenant mix in a shopping center, for example, if you go into a mall and you say, I would like to rent that store for pets, that number 7 stall that you have a for rent sign on, and the guy says, well, what kind of business are you in? He says, I want to operate a pet store. He'll say, no, we couldn't possibly put a pet store in that location. What is he talking about? My money's as good as anybody else's. What does he mean, do you think? I'm sorry? Has to mix with, what does that mean? Has to complement something. What do you mean by that? That's true. That's the right answer. Has to complement, right? Yeah, they ought to be compatible, right? So, I'm sorry? You don't want to put a microwave oven plant next to a pacemaker factory. One of them is going out of business. Isn't that right? Okay. But in a shopping center, they make a science out of this. And they say, well, we want a jewelry store next to something else, whatever that is. And each of the shopping center proprietors pretty much has their own idea about what the tenant mix is. But there's some fairly simple things that most people would think of. Do you see black easier than red up here? Yeah, okay. Let's suppose that I have a little, and then I picked up the brown. Good. Oh, well. Now, I know that there's got to be a bigger parking lot than that. I'm making the store bigger than the road and all the rest of it. I used to date a girl who was a fine artist. And she came to one of my seminars. She said, I'll never go back. I said, wow, you're a terrible artist. Can't make things look right. Okay, and we're in America. So which way is the traffic going? Past this store. It goes from this way to this way, right? If my store were on this side, it'd be going the other way, right? Is that right? Okay. Okay, we're going to talk about tenant mix and tenant placement at the same time. In the retail business, you hear a lot about the town side and the home side of the road. What in the world are they talking about? Well,